Welcome to Subscription Prescription, the podcast where you get the information you need to scale your subscription program. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another dose of Subscription Prescription, the podcast where we help you understand subscriptions. I'm really excited by this week's dose. We have something a little bit different. I have an old friend on the show, and we're going to try something a little bit different. So Maria Cebrian is the founder and CEO of Terraseed. We met about a year and a half ago at an event in Denver. And Maria, I'm really excited to have you on the show today.
Thank you so much, Matt. I'm also excited to share some time with you and your listeners.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the format of this podcast is going to be a little bit differently. I think normally when we do interviews, it's all about trying to hear from the founder perspective or the operator perspective about what's going on. This one, we're going to do that, but we're also just going to add in a little bit of an audit element. I've asked Maria to come on so that we can actually start going a little bit deeper and talking about potential solutions and problems. The goal is twofold. One, I want anybody listening to kind of get some ideas or inspiration for what they can do with their brand. And two, I sometimes personally have a hard time trying to explain my methodology when I'm writing and all these other things about how I try to analyze brands. And so I'm hoping that this kind of format will be a better way of trying to educate people on what I think is a really effective way to look at subscriptions. And Maria's been a great sport. She's going to be, she's just awesome. I love the brand. So Maria, I would love if you would start by telling our listeners and viewers a little bit more about yourself and about the Terraseed brand.
Okay. Before I start, I want to just share with your audience that I really enjoy your newsletters and we're just chatting about that and how useful I found them, and it's not always easy to implement all this advice, but having it there on, somewhere in your to-do list, I think it's been really, really useful. And I really appreciate all the work you do for this community of founders, who are building businesses around e-commerce subscriptions. So I'm the founder of a brand called Terraseed, and our goal is to be the most sustainable and ethical supplement brand on earth. And we started this business back in September 2020. So it was in the midst of COVID. And it all started with my own experience as a vegan. I became vegan. I had been a vegetarian for many years, and then I decided to go vegan. And I'm a long distance mountain runner. So I was very worried about my nutritional needs and making sure my performance wasn't going to be impacted, by me going vegan. So I started taking a lot of supplements, and it was just the most horrible experience I've ever had, right? Like it was all this plastic. I didn't know where the ingredients were coming from. And then the most shocking part is that I realized a lot of these ingredients were made with animal-derived sourcing. So mostly animal byproducts, tendons, bones, fat. It was so disgusting for a vegan, like that type of experience, that I decided to come up with my own brand and try to speak to other vegans' values and preferences. So yeah, that's how I became with the idea of building a multivitamin for vegans specifically. And the product has like three main pillars. So the first one is that every single ingredient in the formula is vegan, of course, and the formula is being crafted specifically for vegan people. The second pillar is that all these ingredients are, to the extent that we can, because it's not always perfect or possible, but they are all sustainably sourced. So for example, instead of using, omega-3 is a very simple example. Omega-3 normally comes from fish, and it takes up to 100 fish to create one single pill bottle of omegas. Wow. So in this case, we don't harm any fish or we don't damage any marine ecosystems, and we source omega-3 from microalgae grown indoors in a very controlled environment. So this type of ingredients is what we use for our formulations. And then the third one is the packaging, because that was one of the things that I hated about taking supplements, like all these plastic
bottles. Yep.
It was horrible. And of course, like only 9% of recyclable plastic gets recycled. It's
Right.
just crazy. So yeah, I decided to look for like a solution that was more sustainable, and we came up with these biodegradable, industrially compostable packaging, and that's been one of our main differentiators, and it's been working really well for us.
And I like it. I think it stands out. Like I've ordered one. I have a close friend who's vegan, and so I actually ordered some just to try the experience once
All
and
right,
and gifted them to
awesome.
him. So I thought it was a really cool bottle. The fact that it's
Yeah,
reusable,
yeah, I've got it
biodegradable
here
like that.
actually. It's
Yeah.
just like these
Oh
sort
yeah.
of like
Yeah.
cellulose pill
Yeah.
bottle. Yeah.
It's definitely stands out. So I love. I've actually I think that one of the opportunities for a lot of brands is that they miss a mission driven opportunity. And so it's like the fact that you have such a clear mission behind what you're doing, what you're building, that influences all of your messaging. We had a guest on the podcast a while ago that has the completely end of the other end of the spectrum is a carnivore snacks brand, people that
Hmm.
are meat eaters, and they are doing the exact same thing but a different perspective. They're trying to sell to people that feel like meat eating is no longer okay or popular.
Yeah.
And it's just, and so it's two very different things, and I don't want to necessarily
Yes.
offend either group by bringing them up, but as an opportunity for brands, if you're selling coffee, if you're selling a supplement, like having some kind of mission, knowing who, ultimately because it's knowing who your people are, right? Like you're
Totally.
very clear about what you do, and so it's very clear if somebody's not interested in a vegan vitamin, they're moving on. But anyone that is vegan knows the problem you're trying to solve, because
Hmm.
or they didn't realize that their vitamins are that way. It's going to be very easy to try to convince them to like give you a try,
Hmm.
right? Like is that, what has your experience been in trying to like develop and getting into in front of people and understanding with vegans? We'll go deeper in that, but I'm curious to hear how that's been for you, like the reception for the
Yeah.
product.
Initially, I thought like, okay, the vegan community is going to like this product because in the end, like it was started by vegans and we truly understand their needs and their preferences and everything. Um, I think it's been great as a starting point. At the same time, this niche was really crowded really quickly. So we
Okay.
were like maybe five brands or six brands at the same time, almost creating a multivitamin specifically for vegans. So for us, I think the good maybe the advantage, if you want, is being like how mission driven we are. The packaging, the sustainably sourced ingredients, all of that is being a great differentiation. But at the same time, is it was so crowded, but it was really difficult to stand out. And to be honest, our business, we didn't raise like millions of dollars like some of our competitors. Like it's been a very slow growth type of business,
Right.
and which I am completely fine about. Like it hasn't been like this type of fast growing businesses where we're just looking for growth. No matter how or no matter
Right.
how we get there. So like it was good, but the vegan space was really crowded with
Okay.
tons of brands, not only supplements but food, and so it became crowded, like especially during COVID, and that was a challenge for us. Like
Have
not
you looked at
having. Mhm.
the market size of the vegan community? Like, does that play a role in how you've evaluated like your go to market strategy? Because if there's only so many vegans, because I mean, I'm assuming there are non-vegans who will try your vitamin, but it is mainly intended for
Not
people
many.
that are, yeah, not
Yeah,
many.
it's
It's
so
going to be
specific.
mostly your market are vegans.
Yeah, yeah. Our market right now is vegans. We have introduced a new product recently, which is a multivitamin for kids. And it's
Okay.
not only for vegan kids, it's for all types of kids. But again, the formulation is being crafted specifically for vegan, vegetarian, and picky eater kids.
Okay.
So, like there was a gap there that no one was just doing this multivitamin specifically for this type of kids, but it can be taken by any kid. And that's a new direction we are working on now. Is okay, maybe we need to take this approach to the eco-conscious consumer, not only the
Hmm.
vegan consumer, because we got a lot of feedback. I love your product. It's so awesome, but this is for vegans. This is not for me. So we think that we are missing an opportunity, and some of these eco-conscious consumers deserve something like this. So we are
Interesting.
now thinking, okay, maybe we need to start building products that are not only for vegans but for everyone. And in the end, I think eco-conscious families tend to be more plant-based and more, maybe not fully vegan, but more conscious about the way they eat and the impact of the meat and animal products and animal foods, in their diets and in the environment. So I think that we have a good direction there.
Okay.
With like sort of opening up to the more eco-conscious consumers.
Okay. All right, cool. Well, let's dive into the business a little bit. I think one of the things I like to try to get a handle on is when we're talking about both the subscription program. I think a lot of brands think about subscriptions start at the point of a purchase happens, and then they have to worry about retention. A lot of when I'm trying to understand the business and maybe where there are hindrances or opportunities is trying to see from taking a step back of the whole process. So like understanding who's coming in, the type of offers that person is seeing, what value they're seeing, and then they make a purchase and then they get the product. What value do they see and experience, and then is that working for them over time? Let's just talk a little bit briefly about like the program overall. So you've mentioned 2 products so far: adult vitamins, kid vitamins.
Yeah, that's
What would
correct.
you say is your subscription totals for those 2 types of products?
So right now we have about 1,000 active subscriptions for both of those products, and 20% of them are for the kids product.
Okay, so 1,000 total, 20% are kids, so about 200, 800. Okay.
Yeah.
And then let's look at, so thinking like acquisition sources, like are you running ads? Is it based off SEO, like referrals, affiliates? What's been the acquisition strategy to this point?
It's actually a mix of all these channels. What happened at the beginning is I was very stubborn about sort of building a more organic way of growing the business. And, in my previous venture, well, I actually had a previous startup that it was acquired by a big company in Boulder, where I moved with my family. And we had like a huge marketing budget, at that company.
Mm-hmm.
And we were spending all that money in paid media channels. And the minute we stopped spending money, the growth of the company will just collapse. And I said, okay, this is not sustainable. I don't want to build my next
Right.
business based on paid media. So at the beginning, I was putting a lot of emphasis on the affiliation program, working with micro influencers, SEO, which is, like SEO, as you know, is not, it requires a lot of investment. And in a way,
Right.
it's not paid media, but in many ways, it's similar, like in terms
Right.
of how much energy you need to put there and how much investment in content you have to make and all that. But after a while, I realized that that wasn't working because we didn't have the authority, we didn't have the size, we didn't have the relevance
Right.
for these more organic channels to really work. SEO, you really need certain amount of traffic, for Google to start by paying attention to what you're doing or who you are. Is this, Terraseed brand? Is this legit? Are they, putting good content out there? The same with influencers. We're so small that we weren't very attractive for a lot of influencers. So I just realized that probably at the beginning we need to make the investment in paid media. We just need the traffic. We just need like to grow out of paid media. And then once we are in a better position, that's where you start like expanding into these organic channels.
Right.
And I don't know what you think about that, but
No, I agree. I mean, paid
like
media is riskier, but it can move faster. You can learn a lot faster from it.
yeah. And in the end, an influencer is going to go to your social media and they are going to see, okay, these people only have like a handful of, like fans, or they don't have much content or whatever. Like I think you can feel when a brand is well established and is well respected. And I think you have to invest to get there. Like, I don't see any other way. I know some other companies have been able to just grow organically from day one. For us, that hasn't been the case. So right now we're investing in Google. We're investing in Amazon because we started selling in Amazon,
Okay.
um, and it's been working pretty well for us in the last few months. We are not doing Facebook anymore. We were doing a lot of prospection, like trying to widen our audiences and doing more remarketing and all that. But it wasn't working for us. It was just way too expensive, and we weren't finding the type of customers that we wanted. I
Okay.
think Google, which is more intentional, the purchase, like it's more intentional, like it's been working pretty well for
Well, if
us.
you're
So that's,
getting decent search volume for people that are looking for vegan vitamins or vegan
yeah,
related products,
yeah,
there's
it's
going to be an
busy. Yeah,
opportunity there. Okay.
totally.
So
Mhm.
looking at the website, um, so a couple questions on, like, first, when people are adding the product, I can when people add the, like, say the adult vitamin, are they getting, there's no, like, you don't have an upsell option happening for
We are
the kids
working on
vitamin or vitamin?
a family bundle where you
Okay.
would save 20%. And we just moved recently. I mean, the reason we are not doing that yet is because we moved from recharge into Stay AI
Right.
sort of recently, and the whole transition is taken, like time and getting
Hmm.
familiar with the Stay AI, and which in my opinion is a way better tool. I don't know, I've heard that recharge is, they've been doing a lot of changes in their analytics and functionalities and all that, but Stay AI so far has been like way better. So we are now in the process of like establishing a bundle, a family bundle,
Okay.
where you will be able to purchase both in the same subscription and save 20%.
Yeah, the nice thing about the vitamin space is you don't have to worry as much about frequency, right? Because the idea is you're trying to get somebody to take two a day.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be consistent. It lends itself to a subscription. I do like I think that we can often get caught in the weeds on, like, looking at the product page and all the optimization stuff. There's potentially, but a lot of that is lost if you don't have high volume traffic. So, like, without a ton of paid media, it doesn't make sense to spend a lot of time tweaking the colors and some of the
Yeah,
wording
like
because you don't
anything.
have enough sample size to make that make
Yeah.
sense. But it does make sense to start testing some of the pricing, some
Hmm.
bundles. And then I would look as well as, even if you don't necessarily have a bundle, but if somebody clicks the start now button, you can use rebuy, or we had one click upsell on last week recently, where they flies out, it says, hey, here's something for your kids as well. And then at post purchase, once somebody hits the confirmation screen, you can do the same thing. You can have that option of, say, like, hey, increase, the vitamins available for your family is another option there. I'd be curious, are you
Yeah.
using a post purchase survey tool as part
Not,
of your experience as well?
not a survey tool. We are using Stamped to gather reviews, but not like
Okay.
a survey per se. We have a cancellation survey, but not
Right.
like a post purchase survey, which maybe.
Yeah, because I noticed, looking at your site, you've got the climate. You mentioned climate conscious vitamins, clear, high quality vegan vitamins to make you and your family feel your best without harming the planet. So I could see that you're already leaning more into that eco conscious
Yeah, yeah,
consumer.
that's already happening.
And so one of the benefits of a post purchase survey is kind of twofold here. Well, I should say it's three things without getting too down a rabbit hole. Is one, it's nice for attribution to ask somebody, like, where did you first hear about us, that kind of thing. That's one of the ways that post purchase surveys are utilized the most common. You can use that with Triple Whale, Bestie, No Commerce are all three great options for that. But then when you want to start getting a little bit more, like, understanding assumptions, so, like, you very clearly are making a vegan product, but there are different reasons why people could take it, right? Somebody could be sensitive to dairy, right? And they're tired of having, all these different ingredients, right? It could be because they're vegan or because they're vegetarian. It could be because of stomach. It could be, there's a lot of different issues related to vitamins and supplements, the climate. price. There's a lot of considerations. And so a post-purchase survey tool will allow you to start testing some of those assumptions that you're making in the business on why people are buying. You can actually
Mm-hmm.
just ask them, what's the most valuable part of this product to you, right? And is it how it was sourced? Is it that it's all natural? Is it how it makes me feel during the day? Like, you can start asking some of those types of questions, and that can do a couple things for you. It can feed the content, so you know how to better optimize potential searches on Google Ads, website, copy on your page. But it also lets you use that, reinforcing it downstream. So if you get, say, 30 or 40% of buyers, and I should point out for everybody listening, on Maria's site, there's no one-time option. It is all completely
Yes.
optimized for subscription, right? There's some risk there, but I do like that because you're basically getting somebody to commit to that right away,
Yeah.
committing to that health. You can use that in email marketing in part of your order notifications as well. So if you find that climate conscious buyers are starting to move up in the conversion, like the amount of people coming through, every order you could mention how what they're doing is saving the environment in some way. Like, hey, remember, this biodegradable element is saving X number of plastic bottles each year,
Yeah.
or how this
We
is
have
sourced.
that
You're
in the
right,
website. Mm-hmm.
right. And so depending on what feedback you're getting with a post-purchase survey gives you more copy and sentiment that you can use. And there's a few different questions you can ask related to that, like the value people are seeing, what's most important, that kind of thing. So it's really good. That's a really great way of leveraging a tool like that. Then go ahead.
Can I ask how
Sure.
quickly will you send that survey in your experience?
You can use it on the post-purchase survey, actually, on the confirmation page.
Okay. Great.
Yeah, so you can get some feedback right away. Most of them, like Bestie and No, will also let you survey people through Klaviyo or an email as well. So like, you can build a survey and then send it to people as well. Like, if you want to check in periodically, like, are they using it? How are they feeling? Are there any other effects? Maybe verifying over time, do you still have the same assumption? Like, because depending, I would think too, like, do you get, no, we don't necessarily want to go. I want to be careful going down too many rabbit holes. So,
Were you thinking
well, I'm
about?
going to say, well, it's thinking about, like, the email marketing, and that communication is really, really important. I would be curious too, if you can pull up Stay AI real quickly. We can look at some of your retention data as well, if you'd like to do that.
Totally. Let me.
Now, I was just going to say that one of the common issues with subscriptions is that people buy, they have an interest or intent when they buy, but over time that changes. Like, even if it's a little expensive, they're interested in trying it, but then 3 months down the road, maybe they don't feel like it's as valuable. Or, people care about buying this because it's eco-friendly, but 3 months from now, the price and other reasons mean they don't care about the environment as much anymore. That was the rabbit hole I was saying, was like wanting to check in to see how people feel. Okay, great. So I'd say just go up to your dashboard.
Mm-hmm. And churn reporting.
Yeah. And so this is the report that I like looking at with everybody. I think that this is one of the first places you can start looking. This is new revenue. So let's go to, let's change that category to, it's going to be, order retention. Okay, so just scroll down just a little bit so we can see kind of those things. So this is a retention cohort. I've talked to a lot of different people that are familiar with it. You use it. The idea with a report like this is we want to start paying attention to how you retain people over time. So Maria, do the subscriptions renew every month for you?
Yes, it's every month.
Okay, so that's pretty easy. Sometimes if you have a 2-month or a 3-month renewal, this report becomes a little bit murkier, but the idea is trying to pay attention to how well you're doing over time, keeping people on the subscription, right? So when we look at November 2023, right, like that first initial month is 100% renewal, go into 95% month 1, close to 80% month 2, and then there's a big drop off between month 2 and month 3, right? Because I'm assuming on the graph that first is month 0. So and then looking at, say, December, it is month 1 too. So,
yes.
And then December. So right now, yeah, February just happened. So I would be curious, what was there something that was changed between November and December in the product or how people were being onboarded to the
Yeah, in
subscription?
December we were running like a big discount. So I guess that
Okay.
this is like, people.
All right. Yeah. So looking at, you're talking about in December, you were running a bunch of specials.
Yeah, that's correct. So I think the drop, on first two, on month two is due to, like us having same thing with January. So December and January are 2 months where, like we have a lot of subscriptions, and it's mainly because we run these offers.
Right. Okay. And then November, I'm assuming you were doing some Black Friday specials as well because you're at, or is November the first full month on stay?
Yeah, this that's the issue. We migrated everything in October, and that's why we don't have data before October.
Mhm.
So that's a shame because yeah,
But
there's no way
November,
to.
you acquired 540 subscribers. And that's what I was wondering. Is that just because of the migration or is that because of some Black
That's
Friday
migration.
special?
That's
Okay.
migration.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Sorry.
All right. So what's interesting is those are a lot of people that you brought over. So it is counting as a migration. But if you look at how people perform from month one to month two,
Mm-hmm.
that one's fairly easier. But then there's a big drop. So one of the things with like this is the specials. The to get a little bit more in depth on this is it's not the worst thing in the world to acquire somebody and have them churn right away if you are acquiring them profitably. So that's
Yeah.
always a question to keep in mind that the net result of December's campaigns is by month 4, you're at 6% retention. So it looks like a lot of people just tried that and then are gone as subscribers.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure that this is accurate because we've never had like such low
Right.
numbers. Like we had some hiccups in transitioning to stay AI and measuring everything. So I mean, unfortunately, these numbers are probably not 100% accurate.
Okay. And
But
that's fine. What I would say is from a consulting education standpoint, I would say the way that I look at a graph like this, and as you get more data, it becomes more accurate, right? Because you have a larger
Mhm.
sample size, you're farther away from the migration. It's starting to pay attention to a couple of if there are touch points where there's like a really big drop. So the idea with most subscriptions is, maybe by the time you reach month 4 or month 5, you've got a solid group of subscribers you've acquired that are pretty much going to stick around for a while,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah.
month 1 you might lose 20%, month 2 you might lose 20%, month 3 you lose 10%, month 4 you lose 5%, month 5,
Hmm.
6 you're losing
Hmm.
5% each month, right? So the idea is trying to do two things in this process. Is one is trying to target maybe before that big hump. Like if the data was accurate, or if we were just looking at November and assuming November was accurate, you would have that transition between the 95% to the 80% is about a 15% drop, but then you have an even bigger drop going
Hmm.
from the month after that.
And I think, sorry, Matt, I think I know what was the issue here. Because March is not over. These numbers are temporary, like 0%,
Sure. That
5.88.
makes sense. It's
Yeah,
yeah, I've seen
that's
that
what
too. It's depending on
like.
how it renews. They were not going to count it till it renews. That
Yeah,
makes sense. That makes sense. So, but just looking at like the month before that, because like
of
you're right.
course. Yeah.
So it's if you know that between month 2 and month 3, there's a really big drop off for subscribers. There's a couple
Hmm.
of things that you can do to try to get them to stick around. Right.
Hmm.
Really common methods are offering discounts or gifts to try to let somebody know. So Stay AI's got a really cool A/B testing feature where you'd be able to test or
All
just
right.
offer automatically a special, hey, we know your subscription's about to renew. Just to let you know, we're giving you 50% off on this order or 20% off on this order to reward you as a subscriber. You're trying to create this opportunity where you're going to hold on to people a little bit more. The
Mm-hmm.
downside with doing something like that is that it does give that discount to everybody or whoever is in the test group on
Okay.
that at that point. But it can have a good effect on boosting up in that month of retaining people. The
Mhm.
the thing that I like to do before I get too far down the road of like throwing discounts at the problem is trying to understand better why people are canceling. And so if you can go to, I'm trying to remember where that information is at their tools, but it's going to be where we want to look at the reporting related to cancellation reasons. And that actually might be below on this graph. If you actually go back over to this, if you scroll down, does it show cancellation reasons towards the bottom?
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
that's.
Okay. All right. So looking at
And you
exit
were
survey
mentioning,
performance.
sorry, you were mentioning before, like, for us, it's a very natural way of like selling the product through a subscription because people have to take their pills on a daily basis. But that's actually, it's been a challenge for us to remind people,
Sure.
users, like, hey, you have to take your pills. And that's, a lot of people forget. You will be surprised, how many people actually forget to take their pills.
Yes. So that's a really great point. And so that's what happens with a lot. So you've got probably, let's see, my vitamins are piling up is close to your second top reason.
Yeah, that's
So
correct.
so budget has changed is a top reason. My
Yeah.
vitamins are piling
Yeah.
up. I don't like the taste, smell, aftertaste. I did not mean to subscribe. I don't need these vitamins. So those are a lot of different reasons, but there are a couple of things that you can start to do to try to work on that.
Hmm.
Um, and I like to try to nail it down to easy to do versus harder to do. Like you mentioned that at the top of the show. So one of the easiest things to do is investing in, and you might have this already, but is thinking about how you're welcoming people to the program. Is there some kind of email marketing you can do where, if you think about it, a lot of people, if you start just peppering subscribers all the time with their subscription, it can potentially increase churn. But those first week or two is where the kind of the glow around the purchase is the strongest. So you could be sending several sets of emails related to how the product is sourced. Like first, it's just a reminder to welcome them to the subscription. Um, hey, remember, as part of a great commitment to health and vitamins, you want to remember to take these every day. So please make sure to put these in a place where you're going to remember to take them.
Hmm.
Reminding people. And so the idea is those first 4, 5, 6 emails you could send all within 7 to 10 days of each other of that purchase is you're trying to do two things. You're trying to remind people to take the pill so that they can form that habit. And then the second thing is if you're trying to remind people of the value related to the pill, right? So like how the products were sourced could be an email. The effect on the environment could be an email, like those types of things. The other assumption is going to be, and this is another really common way to leverage the post-purchase survey, is asking, are you currently taking vitamins or not, right? Because if you think about it, if somebody's very, very vitamin conscious, they've been taking vitamins, they don't need to be reminded to take vitamins, right?
Yeah. But
If
if they
somebody
are.
hasn't been, you're right. If somebody hasn't been taking vitamins, they need the vitamin reminder.
Hmm.
And so depending on the types of subscribers you're getting, if you're getting people, my vitamins are piling up, that's partially because they aren't taking them, but finding out why they aren't taking them could be something you could do to reach out to people or talk to them more. Are the vitamins piling up because they don't like the taste of the aftertaste? Are the vitamins piling up because it's new to them? And so this is more of like the art of subscriptions, is like trying to get a better understanding of what's happening when people are first using it.
Hmm.
How do they first see value? So the hard part is like, if I have a shave subscription, I get it. I shave right away. I find out if I like it right away because I can see right away. The problem with a vitamin is that it's
Yes. You
harder
don't.
to see how you
Mhm.
feel, and so you need to invest a little bit more in marketing to people to remind them. So, like for example, you could tell somebody, "Hey, once you start taking the supplements, once you take them every day, most people start feeling differently around day 8 or 9. You should notice a little bit more energy, a little bit more clear headedness, whatever those reasons are. And you want to say it somewhat generally because you don't want to make it like absolute, but hey, it takes about a week to start feeling different with taking this. Like if you've never taken omega-3 before, you're not really going to feel anything until, a week goes by. So again, I'm not a vitamin expert. I just have worked with
Yeah, but
enough
I
supplement companies to know,
totally get your point,
but
which I.
that's the idea. Is you want for you, it's very much conscious of Establishing the value, yes, is important of why it's the eco, the vegan, those value props. And again, the post-purchase survey helps you understand what's most important to focus on. But the biggest win for you is going to be um, reminding people to take it, helping them understand what's going to happen. And then when you send order notification emails, you don't use Stay AI's default. You're going to want to customize that a little bit and say, and remind people, hey, remember, like, living better, having better energy. You may not feel like the omega-3s helping, but they're building up your bones,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, you want to be able to tell people that so that they get reminded of those things, because your number one reason is my budget has changed. And so both reminding them of the value of why they bought, but also helping them take it and see that it's important is going to be your number one hurdle. The reason they say my budget has changed is because they don't want to pay for the vitamin anymore. It's
Yeah.
cheaper to buy a $10 giant thing from Costco than it is
Mm-hmm.
to spend $35 on a multivitamin. So for you, it's very much people come in, they're buying it, they're interested. I want to get a little bit more info on why they're interested. And then I want to invest more time. And this is easier to do. This isn't like putting thousands of dollars into ad spend or something else. This is building out some email marketing. This is leveraging your experience as a marketer and as a vegan. Um, you could leverage into your story around being a runner. I think that could be really impactful. I'm a runner as well. So the idea of like hearing, and I'm always a little skeptical when I hear about vegan athletes, because you get raised in our culture about how you have to get animal
Oh, meat
protein,
is important. Yeah, I
right?
know. I
So
know.
that's part of your like an objective you're trying to overcome regularly is why is this important? Important for your body, important for your wallet, important for the environment.
Mm-hmm.
Reminding people of that. And you can use stories, your own story. Hey, I am a vegan, I'm an endurance athlete. Let me tell you what happened when I started taking omega-3s in my training. Let me tell you what happened. And I hated the fact that I was also taking this other crap in with it, and the plastics and the stuff. So that's
Mm-hmm.
why I did it. So that story is something you want to try to lean into and remind people, even if it's not always, hey, I'm Maria, the founder, make sure you take your vitamins. It could just be Terraseed saying, hey, remember your vitamins are important. You can massage that. But that's going to
Matt,
be one of your biggest opportunities there. Go ahead.
questions here.
Sure.
So you mentioned like, do you what is a good number of emails to build up that sort of onboarding email series, where people don't feel like, oh my God, these people are hammering me. What in your experience, like 4 or 5 touches you were saying?
At least I would say, individually, I know we don't like getting emails, but I would say from a brand perspective, you should lean in harder than you think, because there's two reasons why. One is most people aren't going to see every single email, right?
Mm-hmm.
They might miss some. So having a higher cadence of emails is going to be more impactful for you. Two is if you're just trying to share a little bit of information, that's going to be a lot better received than, say, you're selling somebody. So if you think about it, if I get an email and if I buy something, or I'm interested in buying something, and I start getting peppered with all these reasons why I have to buy and give them my money or schedule a demo, that's incredibly annoying. If I go and buy a subscription to a CBD sleep gummy because I'm trying to get better sleep, I'm actually going to be a lot more interested in emails telling me about sleep tips and why
Yeah.
works differently
Okay.
and why this is different. It's not
Okay.
everybody. This isn't like you're going to get 100% open rates and 100% adoption. But the idea is people are buying this because there was something in your marketing or something in their life that what you're doing is resonating with them. So lean into that. Lean into that harder.
Okay.
Don't send 10 emails a month, month 3. I'm just saying the first 2 weeks of that subscription, that is your greenfield biggest opportunity to market them and reinforce the brand as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you
And
want to do
how
it that way.
and how would you split or like how often? Like every second day, or you were saying within 10 days to send these four to
I think
five?
within the first couple of, you can send an email every day for the first couple of
Okay.
days, and then you can go to 2 or 3 for a while. I would say within the first 7 to 10 days, maybe 2 weeks, you can send 6 or 7 emails. Every brand does it a little bit differently, but, and don't think about it as I've got to build out 7 emails. If you could put together 4 really quality emails,
Yeah,
do
that's
that. Like,
yeah.
it's all about giving value. It's all about explaining. It's all about demonstrating. You're
Mhm.
leading this charge. You're a vegan athlete. You're trying to help people. You're trying to help the environment. So you know best the types of things that are important.
Mhm.
Just check that with the assumptions that you've made with the post-purchase survey and or talking to buyers, right? You again, the eco-conscious thing is a great example. That sounds like you're getting some feedback that's important or it's a potential market for you. Do people actually think that when they buy it? Because if
Okay.
nobody's picking that as a reason for being important in a post-purchase survey, you
Mhm.
building out a whole email related to that
Yeah, like
isn't going to be
that
that
makes sense.
important,
Yeah, it's
right?
a waste of like energy. And what about like personalizing these emails? You were saying like maybe Maria, you can lean more on your own story and your own experience. What in your experience is it like coming from a person? You know, like the founder. Is that like a good thing, or you will
I
be
think so.
more like yeah, great.
Absolutely. I think the best brands do that, or it's you can use other stories as well. If you wanted to, you could pull from customers that you know of that are okay sharing it. That's another
Okay.
great method from a from a UGC standpoint is trying to share like um, somebody's changed their life by taking your vitamin kind of thing without being too. It's not too cheesy and not getting too
Yeah,
like
I know.
it didn't like cure cancer or anything like that. But you can do some of those options. There's a lot of different variability, and I should say, with the point with all this stuff is stuff that you check in periodically, right? You're going to see certain emails get opened more. You're going to see certain emails get read more than others. So you can swap out bad ones
Yeah, I
if
can
you
start
get
like
feedback.
analyzing these
But
results
but
and
but just coming up with this idea of I want to make sure that within the first 2 weeks of purchase, you know, it's like there's already automated triggers built into Shopify, so you can trigger these emails out of Klaviyo of that an order getting delivered. It's even those emails. It's most brands don't even touch those. The order confirmation email, the tracking email is like open 70, 80. Some brands it's 100%, close to 100% of the time.
wow.
Very few people invest in updating
In
that
these,
email.
yeah, like oh my god,
So
that's
even just saying, "Hey, I want to take this out of Shopify and put it into Klaviyo, and I'm going to add a couple things to this email. Hey, your order tracking, and then whatever the most important thing that you want anybody who's bought from you to be reminded of is
yeah,
whatever that is should be that sentence, and
yeah.
potentially you could upsell the kid vitamin there too in that email if you wanted. But again, there's a few touch points right away. It's the purchase is a touch point,
Hmm.
waiting to get the package and getting those emails, and then the unboxing, right, is like looking at that as like I can't quite remember, but the packaging is beautiful, right? You
Hmm.
could have just a little, you could have a little printed on recycled paper card
Yeah,
of
we have
reminding them
like
a
a
couple. Yeah, you do that.
seed
Yeah,
paper card actually that
right,
you can plant and it will grow
right.
into plants. And I think the unboxing is pretty cool, you know, like what we put together. And the
Good.
same with the kids, you know, like we have like stickers and compostable stickers, and kids can decorate their bottles. And you know, like this is the new bottle we have for the
Oh yeah,
kids. It's really awesome, and it's the
yeah.
first one to be like fully biodegradable with a childproof sort of
Oh,
system. So we put a
okay.
lot of work on these. So
I like that.
yeah, so I think we should so
And
probably.
initially, I would say the work is you just build one for both. But within once you get one done, you could very easily duplicate it and then start updating it for you're talking to a mom about their kid, right? Like
Yeah,
so you
yeah,
so you you're going to switch the voice up a little bit.
hmm,
Somebody buying kid vitamins doesn't need to hear an ultra runner story. They want
yeah.
to hear
It's more
about
like
a
about
kid being more
the
attentive in school and getting the nutrients they need, kind of thing, right?
totally.
The other thing is, have you been leveraging Stay AI's got some like you can make offers as part of the cancellation process depending on the
Yes,
reason.
yes.
Okay.
We have like they actually set up. Let me show you super quickly. But they set up this retention engine, and
Yes.
that's the cancellation flow that we have right now. So we have like different strategies for different
Will you
cancellation
show me the
risks.
one for price, the budget one? My budget has changed.
Yeah, my budget has changed.
I think you just have to scroll down to see that option, or it's on the right. Let's see.
Is it here?
Okay.
Have a 10% discount. Let me see. What was that? Oh yeah, this is like different
It's testing
um
different options.
different tests. Yeah, like different options we are running right now.
Okay.
So we're just offering like a discount. They actually recommend that you do like sort of videos or something, like more personal, not personalized, but more human, if
Mhm.
you want. So I'm thinking about maybe shooting some videos or something with a message, but I'm not
Yeah.
sure
So, well,
how to.
keep in mind, remember that the rabbit hole I almost didn't go down. I told you a little bit about the biggest issue, not big, one of the biggest issues for a lot of supplement brands like yours. You're charging more than what somebody could pay for at Costco, right? And so that's or even often Amazon Essentials. It's a constant price comparison. The only not the only, the one of the biggest differences is you can lean into the ingredients and the value. Like, so you have to do a really great job of reminding people why these cost more. And that's why we spent so much time talking about the emails. And you can do that as well on the product page. I didn't necessarily look, but you could potentially look at adding a little bit of information. You could test a little bit of copy that says our vitamins cost a little bit more than what you get on Costco, but they also don't include this, 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 and this,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Um, so the reason a video could be really impactful on the price part is my budget has changed. I'm sure there are people that have had life changing circumstances and they can no longer afford a more expensive vitamin. However, most people, it's going to be that they don't see enough
See,
value
and yeah,
for
they
what
don't
they're
see it.
paying for
I,
what they
I
get.
agree with you 100%.
And so
Yeah,
a video could be a quick way of you to remind somebody about
like
why it's really important, why
why
these vitamins are so important. They do cost a little bit more. And you could start testing and playing a little bit of, I think you could probably load two different videos and try testing those as well, maybe with mentioning, the reasons why it costs so much versus, the environment, why it's important to invest, or
Mm,
say the plastics. So there's a couple different avenues you could go down there between, it costs more to make this type of product because of the quality and what goes into it, and we're not trying to kill the environment, or the cost is a little bit more because it's different or it's eco-friendly. Like, there's a few different things. But this is something I would be paying attention to periodically, because that being such a big difference on the exit reasons for why people are canceling, being
mhm,
able to just spend a little bit time periodically checking this and what you can test and verify, is going to be pretty impactful for helping you keep on the churn front.
mhm. We used to have like this banner in our website saying like, if you cannot afford these vitamins, just reach out and we will find a solution, because we believe veganism should be for everyone. Um, and when
I would
people reach out, we offer them to become ambassadors, where you get like a discount on the product orders every month if you share and you create content. And that used to work really well, where people were like, wow, I saw this and I thought you were amazing for just even like offering that. Like it was really good, and we got rid of it in this new version of the website. And I'm thinking maybe going back to having that banner. I think there was something powerful about it, and we meant it. It wasn't like,
right.
honestly, it wasn't like a marketing play. It was really, we meant it. And yeah, I don't know, maybe that's something that
This is
we
a totally harebrained idea, but what about letting people buy it for somebody else, not as a gift, but like, say you could buy a Terraseed membership, and depending on how much you pay, you buy vitamins for two, three, four other people so that they can use it or something like
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. I love this crazy
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah, I think something that you can do for that, it certainly comes down to trying to make sure that you're positioning the value very clearly up front. This is why this
Hmm.
costs more.
Hmm.
Reminding people of the value of what they're getting, how they should be feeling.
Hmm.
Again, why it costs more, and then being able to test those discounts to get people to stick around. So the exit survey is a reaction based off of a trigger. Somebody hits the cancel button, and when we
Yeah.
were looking at that retention cohort, you can start to pick a month or two where you want to start testing an offer before the order processes, right? So
Yeah.
that's like sending, and
Like the
again,
highest
Stay
risk
AI's got a tool.
is month 3. So before that happened,
Right. Right.
yeah.
And
And I've been discussing that with the Stay AI. So that's really on the list. I have a couple of other questions. What
please go ahead.
about after the onboarding process? Customers get really excited. I was thinking about ways to sort of support them through their journey with us, and not only with us, but in this case as vegans or as
Mhm.
parents of kids who need supplements. So I have a couple of questions. The first one: how often do you think, and probably it's the same answer as before, how often do you think we should be communicating with customers after this sort of first month, if you want, or this first sort of onboarding?
That's some of the stuff you should certainly leverage into that email sequence that we were talking about, is talking about, like, if you have resources like vegan resources on food or other things,
Yeah,
or vitamins or exercises, other stuff, I should say,
articles. Hmm.
you could include all that. That's all giving value, giving value, giving value. You could include some of that as part of the unboxing experience you wanted. You could trigger an extra email or two after an order arrives. So the
Hmm.
thing is, you don't want to send too many emails right before the order processes, because that's just inviting people to cancel,
Okay.
right? But once the order ships or it's been delivered, you could send another email or two saying, like, maybe a fun story or some other resources. You could
Hmm.
also potentially look at, this is a whole topic for a whole nother conversation, but potentially starting like a Facebook group, or pointing people at Facebook groups that are really popular for vegans. It'd be nice if you could try to own that yourself, but that's also a lot of extra work potentially. So that's just something to think about, but that's another resource. But yes, you should be including a lot of that. If you can try to start creating, you're not just a vegan vitamin brand, but you're a vegan eco brand,
Hmm.
then that also gives you potentially the opportunity to launch other products, right? That might be impactful or valuable by people that are already valuing the vitamins.
Okay. Wow. I have so many ideas talking to you, Matt.
Yeah,
This
of
has
course.
been amazing.
No, absolutely.
uh,
I think, again, Maria, from a high level, it's like, again, it's like trying to make sure you're establishing the value. Anything you learn on the cancellation side, we want to try to go back to the beginning, that
okay.
product page. So if we're seeing issues with price or seeing issues with taste,
Like that's
you
how
know,
okay,
you know,
you just
maybe you don't
that.
talk taste too much on the product page, but maybe that first email or that second email, or the insert says, "Hey, this tastes a little bit different because there's not a bunch of weird stuff in there. This is normal. This is like, you're probably not used to getting your omega-3s from plankton or whatever. I'm sorry, what it
Yeah,
was, right? It
from
tastes a little
fish.
different from fish,
Uh-huh.
right? You're used to fish, you're used to these tastes, so this is a little bit different. So that's the whole idea, is we try to take what we're learning about what's not working, we go put it into the front. We try to take what is working, so we start to identify the things that people find the most valuable. We go and put that in the front, so that those things can help try to benefit us in acquiring people more, but also setting them up so that they're not surprised when they first try it and they're like, "Oh, I don't like this," or, "You know what, now that I think about it, this has just cost too much money," right? So that's kind of this whole process of taking what we learn on the back end and put it to the front.
Okay, that's great. Thank you so much, Matt. I think
You're
we've
welcome,
made
Maria.
it right, but
Absolutely.
yeah, this was fantastic. Thank you
Great.
so much.
Well, thank you
Uh,
for coming on the show. For anybody who's listening, if you are interested in a vegan vitamin, I would highly recommend going and checking out Terraseed,
Thank
and connecting with Maria Cebrian. Her name was on the show notes, so you can connect with her on LinkedIn. She's an amazing founder in Boulder, Colorado, for anybody who's part of
you.
that area as well. And again, Maria, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you, Matt. That was amazing, super useful, super valuable. That's exactly what you were saying. How do you bring value, to your customers? You
I'm
just
just
brought
trying.
a lot of value to me.
Absolutely.
So thank you.
You are most welcome. And that's it for this week's dose. Thank you again for everybody. Stay tuned to next Tuesday for another dose of subscription prescription. That's it for today. Thank you for tuning in. Please subscribe so that you can get notified when new episodes come out each week on Tuesdays.